What's really going on? One story, different newspapers.
You can't afford to miss the press with guests so knowledgeable and articulate.
By World Human Rights Index and Rules of Law shows that Nigeria was ranked 142 in terms of insecurity.
What of the issue of Mahmoud Yakub?
Join us Mondays to Fridays for in-depth analysis from the front page of our national dailies.
And NIGCOMSAT Group in U.S. fault candles continue trial, and that's on page 27 for your readers this morning.
From the heart of the National Assembly to the pulse of the presidency.
I rise to second this motion as moved by my brother Alije.
And we will work with you.
Breaking news on politics, the economy, business, education, entertainment. No matter the focus, our guests are on ground to do justice on topical issues.
Back on the front page of The Guardian, it says Trump's warning unsettles Nigeria, raises concern over religion and sovereignty.
It's a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge to us in Nigeria.
On the press, every headline is dissected and every fact scrutinized.
Start your day right. Join us on the press this morning. You can't afford to miss the press with guests so knowledgeable and articulate.
By World Human Rights Index and Rules of Law shows that Nigeria was ranked 142 in terms of insecurity.
What of the issue of Mahmoud Yakub?
Join us Mondays to Fridays for in-depth analysis from the front page of our national dailies.
And NIGCOMSAT Group in U.S. fault candles continue trial, and that's on page 27 for your readers this morning.
From the heart of the National Assembly to the pulse of the presidency.
I rise to second this motion as moved by my brother Alije.
And we will work with you.
Breaking news on politics, the economy, business, education, entertainment. No matter the focus, our guests are on ground to do justice on topical issues. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on The Press, the People's Show. My name is Anire. Binitie. On the show today, we're taking a look at very important topics. You need to be with us all through from start to finish. I have a full house. My guests are already here. I am so glad, that we're going to have a full discussion today on the show. A lot to talk about. Always Nigeria in our hearts every day, Monday to Friday, when we come to you on the show. We have other programs, but The Press particularly was created for you. The phone lines will be opened. We implore you to call in and be part of the conversation once that is done. If today is your first day watching the show, we start with the weather. We go to the front pages of the papers. Then, of course, we bring in our guest to discuss the topic for the day. Then you have an opportunity to call in to be part of the conversation. So this morning we have weather now and again popping up. So we're just going to follow what we have. So you bear with us. Right about now, we're starting with Edo State. Edo is first this morning. Partly cloudy conditions will continue all day in Edo State. Meanwhile, it is 81 degrees Celsius in Edo State this morning. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 83 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m., 86 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m., 88 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m., 90. It will rise further at 2 p.m. to 92 degrees Celsius. It's going to be a sunny day in Edo State today, so you have to prepare yourself as you leave home. If you've left home already, you know what to do. Make sure you're hydrated all through the day so you can protect yourself from the sun rays. Wind gusts are up to 6 miles per hour, highs at 92 degrees Celsius and lows at 76 degrees Celsius. Away from Edo State, we actually have Imo right now. We have Imo this morning. Imo just popped up, so we're going to take Imo. Imo this morning is 80 degrees Celsius. Right about now, at 10 a.m., it will rise to 83 degrees Celsius. At 11, you can see the sun peeking out there. It's going to get hotter at 86 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m., 88. It will rise to 90 at 1 p.m., rising further to 92 at 2 p.m. Partly cloudy conditions are expected around 11 a.m. Wind gusts are up to 5 miles per hour, highs at 93 degrees Celsius and lows at 76. Away from Imo, Abuja just popped up, so I'm going to take Abuja. We're going to just ride along with the weather as we get it this morning. Abuja just popped up. Sunny conditions will continue all day in Abuja. Meanwhile, it is 81 degrees Celsius in Abuja this morning. It is hot and sunny. You can see no clouds. Abuja is going to be really hot today. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 85 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m., 88. At 12 p.m., 91 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m., 93. It will rise further to 94 at 2 p.m. Wind gusts are up to 13 miles per hour, highs at 95 degrees Celsius and lows at 74. All right, Kano just popped up. Remember, we're following it just the way we get it this morning. Kano this morning, partly cloudy conditions expected in the afternoon. However, it is 70 degrees Celsius just past 9 a.m. At 10 a.m., 76 degrees Celsius. At 11, 80 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m., 83. It will rise further to 86 at 1 p.m. And at 2 p.m. is going to be something else. It's going to be 88. So Kano is going to be really scorching hot today. Protect yourself. Wind gusts are up to 20 miles per hour. Highs at 89 degrees Celsius and lows at 63. All right, Kaduna just popped up. Kaduna, let's take a look at Kaduna this morning. Partly cloudy conditions are expected around now in Kaduna, around 9 a.m. Meanwhile, it is 74 degrees Celsius. But at 10 a.m., it will rise to 79 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m., 83. At 12 p.m., 87. At 1 p.m., 90. And at 2 p.m., 92 degrees Celsius. Highs at 92 degrees Celsius and lows at 66. Wind gusts are up to 25 miles per hour. That is huge. All right, let's take a look at Plateau. Plateau State just popped up now. Let's take a look at Plateau. We have Plateau this morning. Let me see if I can get, okay, yes, there you go. Plateau State is right there. Sunny conditions will continue all day in Plateau. This morning, a few minutes past 9 a.m., it is 69 degrees Celsius. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 74 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m., 78 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m., 80 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m., 82. And at 2 p.m., 83 degrees Celsius. Wind gusts are up to 17 miles per hour. Highs at 84 degrees Celsius and lows at 60 degrees Celsius. All right, let's see if Imo has popped up. Do we have Imo this morning? Imo State. Enugu, I beg your pardon. Enugu, we already took Imo. Let's see if Enugu will pop up this morning. Partly cloudy conditions expected around 10 a.m. in Enugu. It's 80 degrees Celsius in Enugu this morning. It will rise all through till 2 p.m. where we have it at 93 degrees Celsius. Wind gusts are up to 7 miles per hour in Enugu today. Highs at 94 degrees Celsius and lows at 74. All right, let's see if Rivers, if we have Rivers State this morning. Partly cloudy conditions expected around 10 a.m. in Rivers State. Wind gusts are up to 5 miles per hour. Meanwhile, it is 81 degrees Celsius in Rivers State this morning. It will rise to 90 degrees Celsius at 2 p.m. Highs at 91 degrees Celsius and lows at 76. All right, we have Delta. Delta popped up. Partly cloudy conditions are expected around 12 p.m. in Delta State. Wind gusts are up to 5 miles per hour. Delta will actually has 81 degrees Celsius right about now. It will rise all through till 2 p.m. at 91 degrees Celsius. Highs at 92 degrees Celsius and lows at 77 for Delta State. Bayelsa this morning, rainy conditions expected around 3 p.m. in Bayelsa. However, it is 81 degrees Celsius in Bayelsa. It will rise all through to 91 degrees Celsius at 2 p.m. Wind gusts are up to 4 miles per hour, presenting 91 degrees Celsius as its highest and 76 at its lowest. All right, I think that's all we have on our weather update this morning. So let's quickly turn to the front pages of our papers this morning. And I'll start with The Guardian. Let's start with The Guardian newspaper. The Guardian this morning says election campaign spending to stress test CBN's Naira inflation grip. Election campaign spending to stress test CBN's Naira inflation grip. That's on page 6 of The Guardian newspaper. On The Guardian, we have more flights diverted. Lagos airspace temporarily shut over MMIA terminal inferno. Yes, you all recall the fire outbreak at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. We shall be taking a look at that today on the show as we discuss the economy. We'll drag that into the discourse for this morning as we try to analyze, the happenings, right there in Lagos. Recall in September 2023, there was also a fire outbreak right there. Now, what's so shocking about the situation is that a reconstruction or refurbishing is actually going on right there at the airport. Multi-billion naira, work going on there, and for this fire to now happen. We'll take a look at that once our guests are seated. All right, still on the front page of The Guardian, Executive Order 9 enforces existing constitutional provision, says federal government. Executive Order 9 enforces existing constitutional provisions, says the federal government. Peace Committee wary of vote buying violence in Ekiti polls. Amnesty demands end to killings accountability as death toll rises. Also, we shall be taking a look at insecurity. This morning on the show, we can't stop talking about it. The death toll seriously is rising. Every day a new story, not something we wish will continue in the nation. Unfortunately, it has become a reality. Our hearts are broken. The pain so deep in our soul, waking up every day to see Nigerians kidnapped, see Nigerians lose their lives to wanton killings by these very terrible lot who have seeped into society without a conscience. All they are after is just personal gain at the loss of lives and, of course, property. We'll take a look at that. We'll talk a little bit about it. We can't stop talking about this particular reality, that has become ours in the nation. Futility of building $1 trillion GDP on hustle economy. Hustle economy, that's a new one, a new coinage. We shall be taking a look at all of this when we talk the economy today. All right, let's move away from that paper. Let's take a look at the Punch. Let's take a look at the Punch this morning. The Punch says oil revenue row, President defends Tinubu as legal titans split over executive order. We have 3 riders. Petroleum Industry Act violates Nigerian constitution, says presidency. NBA OPS backed Tinubu as critiques push against oil revenue reforms. Stands divided over president's directive. Yes, you can see the pictorial on the front page of the Punch. The Lagos International Airport inferno grounds passengers, sparks travel chaos. Below the pictorial, Genco's dump presidency's 2.8 trillion naira debt deal. Genco's dump presidency's 2.8 trillion naira debt deal. Truck crushes LASMA officer, 2 motorcyclists to death. FCC polls ADC candidate obedience reject results. Above the mass, fresh loans, federal government domestic debt jumps to 77 trillion naira. Convention, APC may settle for Yuwalda Bashiru. Beside the masked alleged genocide, U.S. Congress panel submits Nigeria reports to Trump. All right, let's move on now to the Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune is our next paper. Let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune this morning. The Nigerian Tribune, Lagos airport fire, 6 injured, 14 trapped persons rescued. Lagos airport fire, 6 injured, 14 trapped persons rescued. Inferno started from service room, says FAN. Airspace temporarily closed, airport reopens. Still on the Nigerian Tribune, El-Rufai files 1 billion naira suit against ICPC. Others alleges unlawful invasion of residence. Lead exposure, Ogun screens 500 Ogijo residents. Executive Order 9 aligns with the Constitution, doesn't amend PIA, says GG Budget Office. Jankos cry out, lament 6.2 trillion naira debt. We will establish state police, Tinubu reaffirms, says Nigeria out of the woods. Okay. All right. Bandits kill 10 in Plateau. Bauchi villagers flee to Gombe. Adamawa. GOC escapes. Ambush in Kirby. Troops kill 5, recover arms. Odigyo Yegung Owie empire tussle over Edo South ADC leadership. Operators of Plateau mining site were released after I left office. Mine also reopened. Fayemi, ex-minister of solid minerals. All right, let's move on now to the leadership. Let's take a look at the leadership newspaper. The leadership this morning has the screaming headlines: New Electoral Act, APC governors grumble over scrapping of indirect primaries. We're committed, loyal to national interest, Uzodimma. Above the mast, Governor Yusuf's defection to APC, painful, disappointing, Kwakwanso. Wike stood by me when my party abandoned me, Oshomole. Just immediately below the mast, state debt hits 4.002 trillion naira as Lagos accounts for 26%. FCT Minister cancels 485 land documents in Abuja. Restrictions: Nigerian students with FIJ1 visas not affected, says U.S. Embassy. The leadership also has a story on El Rufai. El Rufai sues ICPC over invasion of residents, 6.1 billion naira damages. We established state police to combat insecurity, Tinubu reiterates. Flights diverted to Equatorial Guinea, Abuja as fire raises Lagos International Airport. All right, the Daily Monitor. Let's take a look at the Daily Monitor. The Daily Monitor also has the story on Tinubu saying his government will establish state police to curb insecurity. And below the pictorial on the front page of the Daily Monitor, European tech giant loses $6.2 million international arbitration case against Nigeria. That's good news, right? All right. All right, let's move on to the Daily Independent. The Daily Independent this morning, 2027 election. Opposition parties consider collaboration to battle APC. That's on the Daily Independent. Tax overhaul creating predictable business environment, says Oyedele. FCT Council poll, ADC candidate rejects result, alleges rigging. Chaos at Lagos Airport as fire hose flights, thousands stranded. Let's take a look at the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper this morning. The Daily Trust says, Walida coalition demands release, probe. Reprisals escalate killing in Plateau. 9 die in Niger, Lagos road crashes. Fire raises Yobe market. 5 terrorists killed in Kirby. This appears to be a season of fires. Recall the Kano State Singer fire. And now we've just been told that there was another fire in Yobe. Fire raises Yobe market just in the heels of the fire at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. Too much fire, too hot for comfort, if you ask me. Our FCT poll spiked APC opposition rivalry. Shift in election day, setback for INEC, Mohammed Aruna. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next paper. Have we taken the Daily Monitor? Yes, we have. Okay, let's take a look at the Nigerian News Direct. Nigerian News Direct. The Nigerian News Direct says Budget Office defends Executive Order 9, dismisses claims of legislative overreach. Lagos Assembly intervenes to end 78-day health workers' strike. Aida Tiwa signs multi-billion-dollar deals on fertilizer plant, deep sea port. CBN intervenes with $190 million purchase to stabilize Naira gains. REA signs MOU with ECOWAS to electrify 15 public institutions. Yes, I think that is our last paper this morning. That's all we can take this morning. Yes, indeed, we're done with our weather and, of course, our front pages. We'll take a break to usher in our guests, and when we return, the discussion. Do stay with us.
In a world where information is vital to every individual, a platform where technology is a medium to pass information, you can always catch up on all information written in the newspapers, even without having one. Join us on The Press.
Reaching live from the Abuja studios.
On The Punch for this morning. The Blueprint newspaper, Nigerian Tribune this morning.
As we give you information and opinions about current events and topical issues on politics, business, sports, entertainment, weather forecasts, and lots more in the local city, across all states, and across all countries. Showing daily on Startimes, channel 124, 9 a.m. West African time, only on KAFTAN TV. Stay connected with us.
That is said it is the reason why I will not do it.
I pursue the federal government to pay us our damages.
YouTube, KAFTAN TV.
A very tricky one. And then the bottom line is this.
Website www.kaftan.tv.
Point is, the youth must come together. The pendulum can swing in your favor.
Instagram, KAFTAN_TV. KAFTAN TV. Imagine a beautiful world.
Back in the day, headlines sold newspapers. Today, they dominate your phone screen all day, every day. Welcome to The Press, the program where headlines don't just scream. They speak and we listen. Every day, we take a deep dive into the bold, bizarre, and sometimes baffling headlines making waves across newspapers. From front pages to fine prints, we break down the stories behind the ink, digging deeper, one headline at a time. These headlines, they're not just ink on paper. They shape opinions, spark debates.
Russia has no right to stop Ukraine from joining democracy.
Back in the day, headlines sold newspapers. Today, they dominate your phone screen all day, every day. Welcome to The Press, the program where headlines don't just scream. They speak and we listen. Every day, we take a deep dive into the bold, bizarre, and sometimes baffling headlines making waves across newspapers. From front pages to fine prints, we break down the stories behind the ink, digging deeper, one headline at a time. These headlines, they're not just ink on paper. They shape opinions, spark debates.
Russia has no right to stop Ukraine from joining democracy.
Back in the day, headlines sold newspapers. Today, they dominate your phone screen all day. Back in the day, headlines sold newspapers. Today, they dominate your phone screen all day, every day. Welcome to The Press.
You can't afford to miss The Press with guests so knowledgeable and articulate.
By World Human Rights Index and rules of law shows that Nigeria was ranked 142 in terms of insecurity.
What of the issue of Mahmoud Yakub?
Join us Mondays to Fridays for in-depth analysis from the front page of our national dailies.
And Igbo Group in U.S. Falls Candles continue trial, and that's on page 27 for your readers morning.
From the heart of the National Assembly to the pulse of the presidency.
I rise to second this motion as moved by my brother Alijese.
And we will work with you.
Breaking news on politics, the economy, business, education, entertainment. No matter the focus, our guests are on ground to do justice on topical issues.
Back on the front page of The Guardian, it says Trump's warning unsettles Nigeria, raises concern over religion and sovereignty.
It's a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge to us in Nigeria.
On The Press, every headline is dissected and every fact scrutinized.
Start your day right. Join us on The Press this morning. You can't afford to miss The Press.
Welcome to Abba in Abuja. The main agenda here is the promotion of made in Nigeria products. Could this trigger the much needed change in the telecom industry for better service delivery? Welcome to Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. A golden opportunity for the country to showcase its potentials among Committee of Nations. Now, here comes the body, accompanied by her husband from India, where she has been receiving treatment. Total liberalization of the communication sector.
Yes, welcome back. It is The Press, and I have a full house. Yes, anytime you see the full smile is usually for the full guest. Once the smile is half, then it's because only one guest showed. I have a new guest in the house, and I have a friend. Well, the new guest will become a friend because definitely we'll invite him another day to be on the show. But first, let's do the introduction. Let me start with the lady. I have Barrister Uchenna Obidike. She is a social affairs analyst. Uche, it's so nice to have you.
Yes, it's a pleasure too. I'm just happy seeing you very well.
You went on holiday and refused to come back.
Oh my God.
Eh?
I'm so happy.
It's so nice to see you.
Yes, thank you.
And of course, I have a new friend. Is Dr. Raji Taofik Kolawole. Is an economist as well as a social affairs analyst. It's so nice to have you on The Press.
Thanks, Anire. Thanks for having me.
Yes, so this is the People's Show where we discuss topical issues, bordering on Nigeria. And of course, it's interesting to know that when we call you, you always respond as Nigerians to have your or give your say on unfolding situation in the nation. Today on the show, we shall be taking a look at the topic, prison without trial, the economy, insecurity analysis. This morning, we shall be starting first with the situation that we have in our hands, the report that I got this morning that we have over 537,790 inmates who are yet to have justice. They are yet to have justice because their case has not been even heard. They've not been tried to court, and they're just there waiting. The statistic is huge, 12.9%, which is, what they have given us the number at 53,790. My joy this morning is we have a lawyer in the house. And I shall be starting, apart from the fact that she's a lady, I'm going to push that to her to start the discussion. So, lawyer, what is going on? We have the statistics is huge, presenting 12.9. National Bureau of Statistics gave us a breakdown from first quarter, second quarter, even gave us the breakdown for 2025, though we don't have the one for 2026 yet. But why do we have such a huge number, of inmates not tried, just a wait and trial?
Well, I can assure you that the Nigerian laws are very invested in the protection of personal liberty of the citizenry. The problem we have is the implementation of these laws. Like going by the 1999 Constitution as amended, particularly through the first to fifth alterations, you see that the Nigerian government, the Nigerian Federation, is really interested in the safeguards of this law. Under Section 35 of the Constitution, it provides that an arrested person should be promptly informed of the reasons for his arrest and should be brought before a court within 24 to 48 hours, depending on the proximity of the court. If you read further, you also see that it provides that when people are detained and have been in detention for a period of 2 months, that's in relation to offenses that are not subject to bail. I'm talking about capital offenses, and they've not been tried within a period of 2 months from that day of detention. They should be released unconditionally or subject to some conditions, but they should not be detained. It also talks about cases of people who are under bail, who have been on bail, admitted to bail for a period of 3 months, who have not been tried, that they should also be released they should be released unconditionally or conditionally, subject to conditions. So the Nigerian law is really trying, it's still invested in the safeguard of these rights of personal liberty. But the problem we have is with the implementation, as I've stated, I'm reiterating it, despite all these protections, we still have issues of prolonged pretrial detention happens. And what are the reasons for this, if you ask me? Of course, they are just basically because of police inefficiencies. Like I'm talking about in investigation, delayed investigation. Then we have the problem of abuse of remand order. You remand somebody, you go, you renew the order. It is done, it's done in practice. And we also have weak legal representation for indigent defendants. We know how the Nigerian system is. They say police bail is free. That's a very serious question. Is it really free? And also, when you don't have people who can stand to bail, to see that, ensure that somebody is admitted to bail, especially I'm talking about the indigent and poor people, we know what happens to them. So these are the reasons. And the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 tried to cure this mischief, actually. It provided that it prohibited arrest in lieu. There was a time when we had cases where if police goes to arrest you and you're not around, they arrest your brother, your sister, whoever they see in your house. It has been prohibited. And there's also mandatory reporting of arrest to magistrates. You don't just arrest somebody and just leave the person there. It has to be recorded. Then there's also the mandatory monthly inspection of correctional services. The magistrates now have to go to inspect these detention centers and facilities. All these things are just to curb these issues of these issues of detention and overpopulation in the detention facilities. But despite all these measures, we know the Nigerian system, we still have all those setbacks. But I need you to know that the law is really out to ensure that the right of personal liberty, right to personal liberty of every Nigerian is guaranteed. But we know how Nigeria is. It's a very long walk. It's a very long.
It's a long walk indeed. Yes. So that's our opening from our lawyer. We're going back there again. Let me ask the doctor to give us his analysis on the issue. Now, personally, for me, I've had a situation where people are grabbed from the street for wandering. Growing up as, you know, people are grabbed from the street for wandering, and we don't see them for 2 years, 3 years. They are just there. No charges, no complaints. Most times, families don't even know that they are there. There are people in correctional facilities presumed dead. And today we're having the statistics, which is huge, 12.9%, 83,790, no trial, they are just there. Of course, we have situations where minors are also detained, you know, they are pulled for minor issues also. They are not charged to court, no results are gotten, they are just there. So that's the reason why we're throwing some light on this, especially as information has been thrown to us right on the front pages of our papers today. Your analysis, I would really need your reaction to this unfolding.
Okay, so I'm not a criminal justice
Yes,
person.
yes, yes.
The
layman, yeah, the layman, yes.
The way I said, just what my learned fellow had said. She said, a suspect should be put on trial between 24 to 48 hours. Now, what happens in Nigeria is that suspects stay longer than this in detention. So, automatically, what that tells me as a layman is that you are innocent until proven guilty. So, based on this, so when you hold people for the stipulated period of time, that means you have stepped on your fundamental human rights as a person. That means the state itself is putting a criminal act on the individual itself. That's how I see it. Because, so what has been happening in Nigeria for a long time is you have people that are innocent being in detention or prison cell for elongated times. 3 months, 1 year, 2 years before they stand trial. Now, this is a crime on that individual itself that the state has committed against the individual. Now, I'm an economist, so I always look at everything from an economist perspective. Now, what is the cost on the state itself? Because these people have to eat, they have to fend, they have to be prison wardens, they have to take care of them. So the state is spending so much on this system. Meanwhile, there's still injustice in the system. So why are we spending so much? Now, these young men that you have said are supposed to be young men, these innocent men, I'll presume, because until they are found guilty, these innocent men are supposed to be in the workforce, helping to grow Nigeria's GDP. But now they're in the police
without trial.
Without trial. So that is a cost. That's an opportunity cost on the Nigerian state itself that we are losing as a state. Now, there are also ills to this. There's the ill of being radicalized in the police cell, and so many other things that are going on there.
Yes, we're going to come to that most definitely. I'm happy that you took us right into the cost, because another information is the fact that the correctional facilities or centers do not even have the capacity. So you have them all jam-packed, like in a cell where you're supposed to have just 5 or 10 or 20, you have like 50, 60 in a cell. One can imagine in the conditions, in these correctional facilities. In fact, is best imagined than seeing, if you ask me. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us.
can't afford to miss the press with guests.
Welcome back. It is still the press, and we're taking a look at topics on prison without trial, the economy, and of course insecurity. And my guests are still here. We're trying to understand, going by the statistics, what we will have 537,790 inmates without a trial in our, in our correctional system. This morning, and of course we started a conversation. We started with a lawyer in the house, Barrister Uchenna, and of course our economist who says he's a layman, but he gave us his own analysis, which was direct, straight to the point, trying to understand why we will have such situation. And immediately, as an economist, he gave us the details on cost, the cost implication on having Nigerians all packed together beyond the numbers in the correctional center without trial. And of course, his focus was actually on the youth, the men who should, contribute to the economy, but are just there. But I want to ask the lawyer, like I said, we have a situation where minors are picked from the streets, and they make up a huge number of the statistics. People who go to parties. I've had a situation where my brothers and his friends were coming back from the club, and they were raiding and they packed everybody, and it took a while for us to get access to them. And what was the crime? All because they went out partying, returning home, and they were picked up with every other person. Let's focus on the minors who make up the statistics. They've been there. We have report of minors who've been there for a year, and when they asked, they said it was just wandering or minor issues, but yet no court trial. How do we manage situations like this, and why do we still have such in our system?
And the problem with Nigeria is, didn't start today. It is very old. It is an age-old problem of corruption. When a system is so corrupt, you find yourself living at different corners. We shouldn't find ourselves in this kind of situation. I wish we had a police officer here to balance the equation, because as a lawyer, I'm going to do my best to interpret the law. But a lot of problems we have in Nigeria are inexplicable, like you can't explain. You don't understand why we find ourselves in this situation, yet we find ourselves here. That is why lawyers are always advised to undertake pro bono cases. Because even as a lawyer, when you start to undertake all these pro bono cases, they become overwhelming for you, because there are so many, there are a lot of people under detention, pretrial detention, who have not been charged to court, who are just there. Like, of course, you talked about economy. And the federal government is spending money on their feeding, taking care of them. That shouldn't be the case. It also affects them, because you have talked about the fact that, the youth form the labor force of the economy. And when you have strong, able-bodied men under detention, for some of them, as you said, you talked about people just coming back from a party, which is legal. There's nothing wrong about coming back from a party, even if it's at odd hours of the day. I believe the police, that's why we're talking about professionalism. We need an overhaul in the Nigerian policing system. We need an overhaul, because you're trying to do something right, but there are a lot of people that are frustrating you. And you now go back to, why are these people doing this? It still moves back to the corruption. Are they well paid? There was time I was here that the police, that was the pensioners, police pensioners we are protesting for non-payment of their pension. And it still goes back to that. If most times when you see people doing this, when you see Nigerian citizens acting out of character, there's a financial underline on that day, because a lot of people are doing this because of money. You want to arrest somebody, you want to teach somebody a lesson, you mobilize the police. I'm not saying these are things that happen. These are practical things. So I'm not saying it because or you know, for another person in another client, it may seem as if it's not objective. It doesn't accord with common sense. But we are Nigerians. We know all these things happen. You have a civil dispute with somebody. The next thing you go, you mobilize the police. They arrest the person, and the person is under detention without trial. And if you want to frustrate the person, you keep renewing the remand. It happens. The SCJ has tried to do this, but it's Nigeria. People always have a way of finding ways to do things that shouldn't even be done. So that's what I'm talking about. Wish we had a police officer here to put him under fire. Let him sit on the hot seat and answer all these questions. Because I actually do not know why we find ourselves in this situation, but this kind of things keep happening. So I'm sure we are used to finding ourselves in situations we can't explain. Yes.
So you want to add to that?
Okay, so I'll add to what the lawyer said.
Yes.
Okay, so the way I see Nigeria is about the system, Nigerian system as a whole, that rewards mediocrity or meritocracy. And that's what you see in all our our public agencies. Now, the police that you're talking about here, how did he even get his job in the first place? He didn't get it because he was one of the best in school, or whether he had the best grade. He got it because he was probably from one state and they were doing quota system. So number part was the better student in another state, but they didn't pick it because they had to fill the quota from this other state. So you find that average people that don't deserve certain positions being put in those positions. So what do you expect?
I understand, most definitely. So we're going to continue with our discussion this morning. We've been talking about the prison without a trial topic. We're moving on now to economy, and our focus this morning is the fire at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. I did tell you that this is not the first time in a short while that we've had that incident happen. In September 2023, there was also a fire incident right there. And this is where, you know, the economist comes in. The fact that they actually have a multi-billion naira renovation going on, you know, right there for this fire to happen right now. We need to take a look at the economic value or implication of this. First and foremost, the fire at the international airport.
The fire incident is a very sad one. That shouldn't have even happened in the first place. I see it as negligence, that you can have a project that is running into billions and you don't have a contingency plan for fire. That's such a project that for this to even happen at a monumental place like the airport is totally absurd and shouldn't even happen at all in Nigeria. Now, there was a capital allocation, a budgetary allocation for this project, maybe 2024, probably there's a part of it in 2026. So what's going to happen now? Are we going to create another capital expenditure for this project again? We are telling that the state or the federal government does not have, and we're just squandering it. So in Nigeria, there's a lot of leakages left, right, center that needs to stop.
So Uche, now what we're going to do is we'll pick up these topics and later come back to finalize on them. We're taking a look at the fire incident at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, and our focus is the economic implication right now. The economists have told us that it is shocking that for a project like this, there was no provision made. Because if you take a look at the pictorial, it is huge. The fire just went out of control. One would expect that, you know, they have everything in place to checkmate situations like this, but from the pictorial and the way it happened, I wasn't there. If you go by the fire, by the pictorial, the fire was huge. So you begin to imagine, is it that they don't have fire extinguishers to put off the fire, they don't have water, no provision was made, to, checkmate situations like this. We want to take a look at the implication, the economic implication, bearing in mind that billions have already been spent, to renovate.
I think everything will always, in Nigeria, every discussion would always fall back to endemic corruption. Because you just said something that's very disturbing. This incident had happened before, within a short period of time, and you haven't spoken about that. So you begin to wonder, like, what is happening there? I'm talking about corruption because you understand that when there's a case of this fire outbreak, whether it's a suspected case of arson or not, there should be investigations. And when there are investigations, you notice that a lot of people sit up, and the recurrence of that incident is always minimal. So when you have something that's happening again, that means that the first time it happened, nothing was done. So people just sat back. Well, there's a budget on this. We have the money. Let's continue. Because this is a national embarrassment. I'm not trying to say that cases of fire outbreaks are not do not happen in other climes, but the reoccurrence is a very embarrassing. Like, why do we have this? Now look at the economy. Some amount of money has been earmarked for just renovation of that airport. Now we have to start from scratch. A lot of Nigerians, how many Nigerians travel by air? So if Nigeria is actually working, trying to renovate airports, then it should also face the people on the streets. How many people have been? Does the government even consider all those people like the normal Nigerians? I'm talking about, we are going to the grassroots level now. I'm not talking about the people who travel. I don't want to call them the bourgeois. But, kind of making so much money for renovation of the airport, which keeps going ablaze. Without repercussion, nobody is held. Nobody, even if there are investigations, you know how the Nigerian system works. Will anybody be apprehended? Will there be liability?
That's a big question. Well, we've just been told that we need to go on a short break. When we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us.
Will bounce back in view of the sentimental attachment to it by Nigerians. The need for the players of the industry to still put their acts together to consolidate on the previous efforts has therefore become imperative. That popular saying that necessity is the mother of invention is beginning to have effect on Nigeria for good. Reporting from Dubai.
Hello, I am Ruben Okala. I have not retired. I am refiring at KAFTAN TV. And as you see on KAFTAN TV, get back to work.
Welcome to Abba in Abuja. The main agenda here is the promotion of made in Nigeria products.
Could this trigger the much needed change in the telecom industry for better service delivery?
Welcome to Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja.
A golden opportunity for the country to showcase its potentials among Committee of Nations.
So knowledgeable and articulate.
By World Human Rights Index and Rules of Law shows that Nigeria
Yes, the show is still on and my guest is still here as we take a look at a prison without trial, the economy with a focus on the fire outbreak in Lagos, the international airport, and of course insecurity. We're yet to talk on insecurity, we're still talking on the fire outbreak. Before we went on this short break, the barrister was actually letting us understand the implication. But information also reaching us is the fact that right now flights are being diverted from the airport. That too, the economic cost, the stress, the tension that is causing, that is a heavy load for those doing business, those who are expected to come in with all the plans, itinerary planned for the business they want to carry out, because that's our focus, and this happening, the diversion to other countries instead of coming directly into Lagos, as it were. I would want your take on this.
Okay, so there's a
financial burden, loss not just on government.
Just as you have said, there's a financial loss on the individual, and there's also a financial loss on the businesses and also the government itself. So nobody is having a good day from this mishap that has happened across the board. But I know first question you asked me was, what was the economic implication of this on the Nigerian state? And I want to go back a little.
Please do.
Please do. You know, Nigeria for a long time has never run a budget surplus. We have always run a budget deficit. And when you run a budget deficit, basically means that you have to borrow. So for such a project, and it's a big project that runs into billions of dollars, Nigerian government has actually borrowed money to fund this project. Now, the problem here is we don't have that so much liberty because Nigeria's debt to GDP, you might say it's moderate, but it's around, I think, 39%. But Nigeria's debt to revenue is actually very high. Nigeria's debt to revenue is around 70 to 80%, if I'm correct. Now, what this means is that 70% of the money that we earn is spent on debt service and debt itself. So we don't have the luxury to just throw away money. So there's a lot of, from the government side, there's a lot of fiscal responsibility concerning spending, how it is used, and how it is utilized properly that needs to be put in place. And in this case, sorry to say, it just didn't happen.
Okay. Because of time, we're done with the prison without trial, we're done with the economy. We're going to round up later, but we're quickly going to insecurity because of time. We'll take a look at that, then we'll sum up on all that we've discussed today. So I'm coming back to you. The reports, every day we wake up, there's always something happening. The loss of lives, it's the wanton loss of lives is one too often. And just this morning, insecurity Kano to lock down monitor entry points with toll gates. I still feel that a lot still need to be done, but the question I'm asking this morning is, why the drag? Why the delay? What's the federal government doing beyond words on insecurity in the nation? Nigerians oftentimes have questions more than answers, and everyone is affected by this. I personally have had family members. I have a story to tell. At this rate, I don't want to wake up one morning to discover that every family will stand to say, you know what, this has affected me. You know, so let us take a look at the security situation this morning, and as Nigerians, bear our minds on it. So I'll come back to you again.
I'll start with a statement made by, I think, General Ibrahim Babangida late in the 90s. I said that any insurrection or violence that happens after, I think, I said 24 hours, the government has a hand in it. And I'll use an incident that happened way back in 2004 when I was doing my NYC in Nguru local government in Yobe State. There was an insurrection in Gaydam, Buniyadi area of Yobe State there. And I remembered when the signal got to the barracks where I was serving them, it took like a week for them to get that proper intelligence, and the army moved swiftly to get down. And what he did was, I can't forget it till today, because they blocked off the road from Damatu leading to Gedan. It was like a 30-kilometer stretch. No going in, no coming out. And in 1 week, the terrorists or the people, the insurgents were cleared out, and the place, everything went back to normal. It shows you the seriousness and the priority that the state government and the government at that time put into security. Today there's a lot of opportunity cost, let me use that economic term, that's foregone alternative happening in the Nigerian economy because of security. I'm very sure you have your story. I'm very sure my sister here has her story. Me too, I have my story. But one of them is that I want to, for example, I want to go to my hometown by road. But because of what is happening in Nigeria, kidnapping here and there, I'm scared. If I wanted to go to my hometown like 3-4 times, I'll probably just go once and not go at all. There's an economic loss attached to this. When you go to your rural area, you probably see 1 or 2 opportunities and say, oh, let me invest here, put some money here, or let me give 1 or 2 people money here. When you do a cash transfer system, it still helps in boosting the economy. It's called Keynesian fiscal stimulus. But all of this has been greatly reduced because of insecurity. Now, that is just one area of it. Another fundamental area of calculating GDP is investment. Now, because of insecurity, if I'm a British person, citizen, or a US citizen, or European, even an African, anywhere, where would I want to put my money and invest it? Is it in a country where there's insecurity everywhere, where you don't know what's going to happen in the next 1 hour, or a country where that insecurity or the political and economic situation is more stable? Definitely, you put it where it's stable. It's more stable than where it's. So we're losing a lot of foreign direct investment. Not even foreign direct. People would think that it's only foreign direct investment we're losing, but we're actually losing domestic investment itself. Because Nigerians, not everybody, but a big proportion of Nigerians are now looking and say, why would I put my money in Nigeria where we don't know whether the US is going to attack us tomorrow or whether there's going to be a bomb blast. Let me invest my money in Ghana. And you think that these things are not happening. They are happening. I'll give you a simple story. Just this December, I went by road to Accra, and I saw the amount of goods leaving Nigeria all the way to Accra. I was at the Segbe border, and I was asking the Ghanaian customer, I said, where are these goods coming from? He said, from Nigeria. That means Nigerians are actually investing in West African countries. And we that are in Nigeria are complaining that there's not enough investment in Nigeria. So what in economy we call it capital flight.
Capital flight.
And that's what's happening.
That's what's happening. So Uche, you've heard the economists tell us there's capital flight in Nigeria because of insecurity. I know there's a lot of losses that has come from insecurity. He also actually explained the fact that most people will want to go home. So they are home, they are villages to invest, but those days are far, far, far in between because of insecurity. Of course, we pointed out here that, you know, insecurity has become like a bug, you know, that has beaten 1, 2, 3, almost everyone in Nigeria, and we don't want to wake up one morning for everyone to have a sad story to tell concerning it. The question is, do you think the federal government is doing enough, has done enough? Why do we still have this dragging on and on with the sad stories every day?
The challenges of insecurity, as multifaceted as they are very severe. We are dealing with a lot of security challenges here. We have the insurgency, we have banditry, we have kidnapping, and now we even have we have separatist violence. So it's just too much for one country. I don't want to say the Nigerian government is not doing enough, but I do not believe they are doing their best. It's my opinion that they are not doing their best. And I'm more interested because, you know, the challenges of insecurity in Nigeria cannot be overemphasized. We keep talking about, as you said, everybody has their own relative story. It's relative, like it has happened to everybody. As you said, a lot of us have not been able to travel, are very scared of traveling. You know, I would not travel to any state in Nigeria if it's not by air. And that is what I maintain that. Unless it's even a short distance, anything, that is how Nigeria is. That's how volatile Nigeria is. Anything can happen anywhere. Nobody is even safe anywhere. So, but I'm more interested in the legal framework of the, you know, of the tackling of insecurity in Nigeria, because, you know, when issues are not tackled well, professionally, it leads to more issues. Yes, the Nigerian government has empowered the armed forces to tackle insecurity. But when they don't follow it in accordance with the law, you see that we have challenges. Because you talked about mass arrests, when the army, you know, or the police just goes to arrest people because they undertake mass arrests because they feel, oh, there's insecurity in the nation and people are coming back from somewhere, or maybe there is a case of public disorder or something, there are people standing by and watching, they just arrest everybody because you're trying to curb insecurity. Because when we are fighting insecurity, but the common man is also the person suffering from all the challenges that follow the inefficiencies in the execution of or tackling of insecurity. So, you know, the army, the armed forces of Nigeria, they're empowered under the 1999 Constitution as amended, under the Armed Forces Act, under the Terrorist Prevention Act, and they are empowered. They have their own defined duties that they're empowered to do. So when you say a case of the military arresting civilians, you know, there's so much disorder that in Nigeria that is so troubling, because you see prolonged military presence in a civil space, and nobody is asking the question, is it constitutional? You see, like, we are not under martial law. So a lot of things are happening. You know, the military, they have their own defined what they call the responsibilities under the Constitution. The Constitution is the ground norm. It's the highest law in this country. But, you know, a lot of things are overlapping in Nigeria, and it's just so uncomfortable to watch. They are coming in security, but that doesn't mean that when they go to a village, they'll arrest everybody and harass everybody in a community because, oh, they should not even, that is the job of the police. Like, I'm not saying that, okay, what is the job, what's the duty of the army as described under the Constitution of Nigeria? They are supposed to protect Nigeria from external aggressors, suppress insurrection. They are supposed to maintain territorial dignity, and they are supposed to act in aid with civil authorities when called upon. So that is not replacement. It is just supplementary. But I don't know whether, as I said, whether we are under martial law. Maybe there's an assumption, because the way you see the military operating in Nigeria, it also goes back to this whole fundamental rights infringement that we're talking about, right to where people are denied their right to personal liberty. Because there are a lot of people that have been harassed and arrested by the army. But what is the army doing in a civil space? Yes.
Okay, that is the question. Because of time, we're rounding up our discussion. As you can see, I brought passionate people to the studio this morning who are passionate about Nigeria, and they have a lot to say. We're rounding up. We've talked about prison without trial. We've spoken about the economy. We've spoken about insecurity. We're rounding up now. So I'm going to go back to the doctor as we round up prison without a trial. Let's start from there. In few words, what is your final, analysis, with that this morning?
Okay, so it is what it is. Just as my lawyer said, the Nigerian system is a system that victimizes the people that are helpless, and that's what has been the case for a very long time. I wish I could see a Nigerian judicial system whereby cases are handled swiftly, people are tried on time, and whether you're innocent or you're found guilty. No, so we can have, just as I said, we can have able young men do what they are supposed to be doing for the economy instead of being in the prison cell for a long period of time.
Without trial.
Without trial.
All right, the Nigerian economy. Going by the analysis that you gave to us, the fact that you were traveling out of Ghana and you saw that happen, the economic, you said flight? Capital flight,
so
yes.
I want to explain the Nigerian economy in 2026 in an holistic fashion. Now, the Nigerian economy presently is seeing some macroeconomic gains. We closed our GDP with a 3.8% growth, which is good. The IMF has forecast a 4.2% growth for us, which is likely that we're going to meet. Inflation rate, as at the last one by the NBC, has come down to 15.1. Note that I'm not saying that the price levels have gone down. I'm saying that the rate at which the price levels rise is now slowing down. That's what inflation means. So there's a deceleration in our inflationary rate. Exchange rate is coming down because all the indices that support the Naira appreciating is good, such as our crude oil, our remittances, our trade surpluses. They are all indicators that support the appreciation of the Naira against the dollar. So foreign exchange, inflation, economic growth, things are looking good. But the truth about it is that the common man on the streets is still not feeling this.
He's not feeling
and
it.
the reason for this is simple. Economy itself is a system where society produces, distributes, and consumes. Now, in Nigeria, the production is not being done as much. The distribution is not efficient. So it's only the consumption
that is happening.
And in economics, we talk about the factors of production. All of us learned this in secondary school. Now you find out that only a few set of people own the factors of production in Nigeria. And because of this happening, those owners live in what I call an oligopolistic economy, as I can say, as I'll put it. So they dictate what they give to their employers as wages, as reward for labor. And because there's oversupply of labor and so many other things that's happening in the labor market, those people that own the factors of production just decide to do whatever they want to do with it, without any regulator telling them to do otherwise. So you find out that most of these gains that we're seeing on the macroeconomic space is not trickling down to the Nigerians on the street.
Okay, so we'll take a pause on that because of time. So I'll give Uche the opportunity to help me round off on the discussion. So prison without trial and the economy, your final analysis on that as we round off.
Well, I'll reiterate that detention without trial is fundamentally unconstitutional. Our justice system, it makes our justice system look punitive instead of corrective, and we don't want that. A system that doesn't guarantee personal liberty cannot even attract investors, capital investment, because people want to come to an environment or invest in an environment where they feel their rights are safeguarded by the Constitution. Then on the economy, I believe Nigeria has a lot to do. We are still talking about the same thing. If the atmosphere is not comfortable, if it seems very toxic, you don't expect people to invest. Like you said, people investing in Ghana when we have Nigeria here. We don't want institutions. So it goes back to this whole topic of insecurity and creating a convenient environment for the citizenry and even investors, foreign investors. And on you're talking about the insecurity. I would say that, I talked about the legal framework of it. I would say that the Nigerian government should try to use follow professionalism and not force in tackling insecurity. We have a lot to do in Nigeria. Everybody has a lot. Everybody is a role player, a key role player in this, but we have to work together. And the Nigerian government has the duty, in accordance with the Constitution, to protect its citizenry. So that is it from me.
So we have just 1 minute to go. So the usual way, I didn't tell Doctor the way I do it. We're going to round off in our dialect. You can pick on the judicial system. You can pick prison without trial, the economy, insecurity. Just in 30 seconds, not more than, because we've been told to call it a day. In 30 seconds, speak to your people, Uche. Today you will talk Igbo. Oh yeah, let's go.
Okay, they won't know my name. No, many who kwesịrị ime adabakwala n'aka ndị police ka hari ijide unu ti unu na nga. I think I've said it all.
Yes. So, Doctor, don't tell me you don't speak Yoruba.
That's right.
Yeah. So over to you. 30 seconds.
Nigeria and she dada what work she started she, but àwọn tá jẹ́ èèyàn Nigeria ó ní àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ ká ṣe tó wà pàtàkì. Ní lẹ́ẹ̀kan the first one ẹ make sure pé tẹ́ bá gba salary ẹ máa budget, ẹ make sure pé nǹkan tẹ́ ń rà àwọn nǹkan tó wà tó jẹ́ kókó ní kẹ́ máa rà, kò ń ṣe àwọn nǹkan tí kò ṣe kókó ní kẹ́ máa rà. And àwọn nǹkan ẹ make sure pé ẹ sá fún gbèsè, ẹ má yáwó tẹ́ ẹ lè san mọ́. Àwọn nǹkan mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta ó wà pàtàkì ní gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ bá ṣe, so ẹ lè gbé ìgbésí ayé tó ṣe dáadáa tó dẹ̀ ní ìfẹ́ àti ìfọkànbalẹ̀.
Should I clap?
Let's clap for ourselves this morning. Yes, yes. In fact, we're having language classes on we're having language classes on the press, and I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not going to stop. On the press. I want to appreciate my guest this morning, Barrister Uchenna Obidike. She's a social affairs analyst. She's a legal practitioner. We appreciate her for being on the show this morning.
Thank
you so much for being on the show.
Yes.
And of course, Dr. Raji Taofik Kolawole, who is an economist and a social affairs analyst, PhD economy, first degree economy. In fact, when he sent me his bio, I was like, only one person, and he sent a message, too much. I was like, haba.
He's such a passionate economist, yes.
I was like, you have more, or you're looking for more. Okay, so I want to appreciate you both for being on the show this morning. Dr. Barrister, thank you so much. And of course, everyone who watched the show, I appreciate you. Tomorrow is a date on the press. Remember, the press comes to you Monday to Friday, weekly on the show. I leave by saying Nigeria is the only place we call home, is the greatest nation on earth, the place where two rivers meet. The people shall be great. And the book was talking about Nigeria. Keep your head up, keep pushing, keep working, and Nigeria go better. My name is Anire Binitie. Bye for now.
Welcome to Abba in Abuja. The main agenda here is the promotion of made in Nigeria products. Could this trigger the much needed change in the telecom industry for better service delivery? Welcome